let's take a calendar month. And this is purely arbitrary, but just to give you a sense of the form of it. If you met as a community once a month, the first Friday of every month or something like that, which several communities are already doing, and then every other week, the sector, the whole systems council met. So whatever representative you decided from your group was going to go and take an extra evening and go and meet with the group and represent your group, they would get together, let's say, every other week on a Sunday night or something like that.
And you would agree on what they would take to that council to say it's at the end of your sector group meeting. You go, okay, so go back and report on this, and they have the notes. This is what we're going to represent our group, and their job is then going to listen. To listening, which we already talked about, what an important part of unleashing this creativity that is, to hear then what's been going on in each of the others. So this whole system council is the way that all of the work that's going on doesn't mean everybody has to come together and try to meet all the time in order to stay informed and connected on what's happening.
So then in this whole systems council, there would be a conversation with at least 13 people. And sometimes it's just 2 people. Sometimes it's useful to share that job in case you can't be there, get different views or whatever. But it can't get so big that the conversation gets unwieldy and you don't have time to move anywhere. It's critical to keep the momentum going. So when you come together, you not only report on what has gone on in your group, but that's an ideal opportunity to start sharing needs and resources. Now, when we were doing the moth spray, and this is the biggest challenge that I know of in this model right now, has not been done yet, as far as I know. We had a single issue dynamic in Santa Cruz with this whole moth spray thing. So all of the sectors were focused on how are we going to stop that spray. And what's happening now with what's going on in the world is there's multiple issues in every sector. And it's paralyzing unless you have an organizational system that can handle it. And we're going to figure out what that is. I think it just takes some tweaking of the current model. As long as we keep it kind of organic and fractal and holographic, it'll match up with how nature works. So here's an example. When in the moth spray, when we would come together in the whole systems council, we'd say, okay, we need to get to the media. So the media representative would say what he could or she could make available to, let's say, the environment team or something like that.
Write a press release or have the contact with the various radio station or whatever the particular thing is. It gets very strategic at that point. I need a media person who's going to be our arm for reaching the media on this. Or I need, from the art section, I need someone who's going to design the poster that's going to get people to come to the Thrive show. I mean, that's part of our thing is now on the website where people are creating these templates for Thrive community gatherings. Like, great, put it on the website so the next community that wants to do it can just download it from there. That kind of a thing that starts happening, and then that's also relevant as you take on different issues because you've already got these connections going. You've got the template. You know who the printer is, and who you're going to start finding the resources within your community of the folks who are going to be helpful.
Yeah, and you can also share needs in terms of, okay, we need an office space, or we need some money, or we need some materials, or whatever it is, and just start sharing that around, and people just start coming up with it. It's miraculous. That whole moth spray thing, where we stopped that $1 billion project, $30,000. That was all we spent in the entire project. I mean, a lot of people put in a lot of volunteer time, but some stuff you just got to go out and buy. But people came up with office space and furniture and files, and it's just, you all know how that can go.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there also can be whatever kind of brainstorming of the whole system wants to take place with the representatives from all the groups. So if there's some kind of business project that needs to happen, then it's not only a business project that will happen, but it will be consulting the environmental people, and it'll be consulting the spiritual people, and it'll be consulting the health people and so forth. And this is what's been so lacking in the world is, corporations don't want to consult the environmental people or the health people. They just want to do it and take the money and run. So it's modeling a much larger decision-making process. So here's the challenge with the multiple groups. We know this works beautifully with a single issue. With the multiple issues, each sector is going to be coming back with reporting on, okay, we've got 6 critical issues. We've prioritized these 3 that we have enough people power to work on, and this is what we're going to be doing. But now, each one of those sectors has issues for which they may need a lawyer and an accountant and an artist and a media person and so forth. So it becomes a more challenging communication process for sharing resources than if you're all dedicated to one issue. And so that brings up then the two of them, the what?
Priorities.
Yeah, priorities and conflict resolution. Any of you who've been activists for a while, you know, I've never ever been in a group or a family or a business or whatever that doesn't have to deal with conflict resolution. And as Aquila says in the movie, the conflict's not the problem, it's unresolved conflict. So we highly recommend that the group have access, voluntary access, to skilled communication and conflict resolution experts. This is something that I used to do for 15 years. On the website, I have just an outline of the course that I used to teach, but it's only an outline of a 2-day course, and then I would train people after that. So that can be a good reference for some certain communication skills, but ultimately you want to have people who are really good who can do it live. I personally recommend the Nonviolent Communication Network because it's very good and it's all over the world already. And they're familiar with a lot of this stuff. We use them in the moth spray very effectively. The other key thing in terms of activism is the challenge of keeping your life in balance. Balancing your personal life, your professional, your family life, and then all of a sudden you throw in a huge project, saving the world or your local community or something like that. And you know how many activists just fry themselves because they're so dedicated, but you know they don't stop to sharpen the saw now and then. So that also is a course that I used to teach that is not on on our website yet, but it will be. I'm not sure exactly when, but I'm in the process of translating what was an outline for a course there to something where you can actually use it, quite quickly, just as a measuring device and as a few techniques to clarify how to keep things in balance. Because what we tried to identify in the solutions model, as in the film, was what's the minimum sufficient amount of information you need or tools you need to anticipate the key problems, which you can expect are going to happen. Because if you have those, then you can get through the roadblocks as they come up.